Thank you, Mr. Melvin Miles and members of the Morgan State University Band for the processional music. And thank you to Dr. Edwin T. Johnson for tolling the sesquicentennial bell, marking the time of the official founding of the Seminary Biblical Institute on November 27, 1867. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To Chairman Mfume and members of the Morgan State University Board of Regents, to our keynote speaker, the Honorable Mayor Catherine E. Pugh, to our distinguished visitors, the Vice Chancellors from over 12 of our sister institutions in Nigeria, to our honorees this morning, those Morgan students and faculty Fulbright scholars over the years, to other special guests, to our illustrious faculty, staff, and students of Morgan, and to all of those assembled here this morning on this momentous occasion, I welcome you to this Founders Day Convocation, marking the 150th year in the history of Morgan State University and bringing us to this high point of our sesquicentennial celebration. And so we began our convocation today with the ringing of the sesquicentennial bell. We rang it at 10 o'clock, for it was on this day, November 27, in 1867, at precisely 10 o'clock, that the Articles of Incorporation officially establishing the Seminary Biblical Institute were filed in the Supreme Court of Baltimore City, thus marking the official beginning of what is now Morgan State University. And so this morning, we celebrate that day. We celebrate that moment that marked the birth of this great university. You may be seated. We are very pleased to have with us this morning several members of the Morgan State University Board of Regents. I'll ask each one to stand as I call his or her name. They are the Chairman of the Board of Regents, the Honorable Kwesi Mfume, Regent Winston A. Wilkinson, Regent the Honorable Tracy Parker Warren, and our student Regent, Ms. Hamida Famutatimi. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause to the members of our governing board. And now I'm going to ask the chairman of our board, Chairman Mfume, to come forward and bring greetings on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Dr. David Wilson, for your leadership across this nation, for your friendship across the last 7 years, and for your stewardship of our historic university. Fellow regents, alumni, distinguished faculty, to the Honorable Catherine Elizabeth Pugh, Morgan alum and 50th Mayor of the City of Baltimore, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed my pleasure to bring you greetings on behalf of the Board of Regents here at Morgan State University, as together we commemorate the founding of our institution, as you heard, on this date in 1867, occurring as it did just 4 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed into law the Emancipation Proclamation, abolishing what historian John Hope Franklin described as the cruel and peculiar institution of slavery. That barely noticed, yet significant founding was to become the threshold for the launching of a new era in all areas of life, for a race of people who had suffered, endured, and survived, 2 centuries of slavery, oppression, deprivation, degradation, denial, and disprivilege. With that in mind, then, we hold claim to be the rightful heirs to our ancestors' legacy, for they bequeathed to us this college 150 years ago as the Centenary Biblical Institute of the Methodist Church. We were a school of few dollars, 20 students, and enormous hope. Moreover, as descendants of a race of people who took little and did much with it, we pause each year on this day and at this convocation to remember their heritage of sacrifice and achievement. Like them, we here at Morgan came to bear particular witness to the radical and transformational nature of education. A quest for knowledge and a passion to learn has been the hallmark and the common denominator for 7 generations of Morgan students. Thus, as an institution of learning and tradition, now a century and a half later, we rejoice in the sesquicentennial of our founding, and we proclaim victory over adversity, and we celebrate excellence over mediocrity. Understandably, the Board of Regents here at Morgan University join with our president, our faculty, our alumni, and our students in reminding all who would come our way, seeking educational transformation, that the vision of our founders for academic excellence in the pursuit of opportunity remains steadfast. Their admonishment to us today, as it was 50 years ago, is the same when they told us, if we prepare, if we pursue, and if we perform, we will always prevail. Congratulations to all of you on this historic occasion. Thank you for your presence here this morning, and may God continue to shine on and bless Morgan State University. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Chairman Mfume. We are very, very honored and privileged this morning to have as our sesquicentennial Founders Day Convocation speaker, and appropriately so, one of Morgan's finest alumni, and one who has reached a milestone that no Morgan alumnus or alumni before her has ever reached, being elected mayor of the great city of Baltimore. Mayor Catherine E. Pugh needs no introduction. She is one of our own. She received her bachelor's degree from Morgan State College in 1973, and then she received her Master of Business Administration degree from Morgan State University in 1977, and during her illustrious career, she has been a successful journalist, a successful educational leader, a successful banker, a successful business developer, and a successful television and radio personality. Indeed, for the past 15 years, she has been an outstanding and outspoken community leader and a prominent figure in our city, in our state, and in national politics. And she has distinguished herself as one of the city's and one of the state's prominent political stateswomen. She was elected to the Baltimore City Council in 1999 and was appointed to the Maryland House of Delegates in 2005. After 1 year in the House, she was elected to the State Senate in 2006, and in the course of 10 years, rose gradually to the roles of leadership, including serving as majority leader in the Maryland State Senate. She gained a reputation for her remarkable ability to negotiate and to reach bipartisan accord. In 2016, Senator Catherine E. Pugh was elected 50th mayor of the city of Baltimore, and she has served with distinction in that leadership role since she was sworn in almost a year ago. Moreover, during her entire political career, Mayor Catherine E. Pugh has been one of Morgan State University's greatest cheerleaders, always there, advocating on our behalf in the General Assembly and now at City Hall. As president, she has been a great friend personally and a great friend of Morgan State University. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to join me this morning on this momentous occasion in giving a warm and enthusiastic welcome home to Morgan State University applause for our very own, the Honorable Mayor, Catherine E. Pugh.
I had to do that, Dr. Wilson, because one hired me. Dr. Cheeks was here when I got here. Dr. Billingsley not only hired me when I graduated, but also, I never forget walking across campus one day and he said to me, I went to ask him a question. He said, "Are you a student?" I said, "No, you made me a faculty member." So it's really an honor. Dr. Wilson, members of the Board of Trustees, platform guests, alumni, administrators, faculty, students, and friends. It is indeed an honor to stand before you this morning. Allow me, please, to give honor and praise to God for this privilege. To celebrate with you on this, the 150th anniversary birthday of the founding of this great institution, the theme of this year-long celebration is Purpose, Progress, Promise. A theme this institution of higher learning, Morgan State University, has certainly lived up to. I've had the great fortune to graduate twice from here, first earning a bachelor's degree in business administration, and then again earning a master's degree in business administration. I often brag that Morgan prepared me to become all that I dreamed and desired. It gave me confidence, courage, and fortitude, along with the knowledge gained. I truly believed I could become anything, compete with anyone, and achieve my best self. It is here, Morgan State University, where I entered as a teenager and left as an adult. Morgan is the place where I grew up. I was nurtured, directed, educated, supported, and loved. What I did not know on my journey was that I would be where I am today, running one of the largest cities in this country with some of the most complex and challenging problems, ones that not only grip our city, but cities across this nation and the world. But as critical as those problems are, they are not without solutions. Morgan equipped me to meet challenges head-on and solve them. And I am confident that my years of service will allow me to do that, because this is also a city with great people and great assets. The greatest museums, institutions, parks, the best hospitals, a bustling technology, science, engineering, health services, and tourism industry. Neighborhoods with marble steps, condominiums, row houses, townhouses, and single-family homes with grassy fronts, garages, and lawns, and the greatest institutions of learning in the world. and Morgan State University stands tall among them. I came to Morgan State College as a child from a working-class family, a father and mother who promised all 7 of their children a high school diploma. They taught us to believe in God, right from wrong, to be of good character, teaching me to read by the time I was 3. And through our weekly trips to the library and our own home library, which included the World Book Encyclopedias, your Google today, young people, they gave me the thirst for learning, which is what led me here to this historically Black college that had given so much to so many over its decades of history, which began, as you well know, on November the 27th, 1867 at 10:30 a.m. with the filing of its incorporation papers at the Supreme Court of Baltimore. Those articles of incorporation created the Centenary Biblical Institute, CBI, of the Methodist Episcopal Church. This school was established on the brink of the Civil War, which ended on April the 9th, 1865, when Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. The 13th Amendment, as you know, ended slavery in this country and was ratified December the 6th, 1865. Both Black and white leaders of the Methodist Church were concerned about the need to prepare men to serve as pastors and community leaders for the newly freed, emancipated men. In 1874, CBI admitted its first female student. Dr. Wilson, I can't help but think it was the spirit of the leadership of this institution that helped me in a very difficult time in our recent history to decisively remove the Confederate statues of this city without confrontation or incident. But in the still of the night, little did I know, Kwesi, that cities and states around the country would learn from my approach and do the same in the dark of the night and without confrontation. During its 23-year history, the Centenary Biblical Institute awarded some 79 diplomas. For those who don't know, it was on February 21st, 1890, CBI became Morgan College, named after Dr. Littleton F. Morgan, a longtime board member of CBI who provided a large endowment to establish the first collegiate level courses. Morgan remained Morgan College from 1890 to 1939 and would undergo a few more transitions before becoming the great institution we are experiencing today. Continuing from 1939 to 1975 as Morgan State College, and from 1975 to present as Morgan State University. Under the guidance of 10 great presidents, beginning with J. Emory Round, to you, Dr. Wilson, a progressive champion for this institution. I remember our first encounter when we talked about the world-renowned Morgan State University Choir that has served as an ambassador throughout, with their beautiful voices throughout the world. And yet we spoke of the need for Morgan to be recognized by the General Assembly as a research institution. Every year following that conversation, you would bring our students to Annapolis to demonstrate their capacity as a research institution. And now, along with Johns Hopkins University and the University of Maryland, we have been designated a research institution. Dr. Wilson, you have done what great leaders do: honor the past and build the future. And 9 board chairs, including their founding Board of Trustee Chair, Thomas Kelso. To my mentor and friend, Board Chair Kwaisi Mfume, who was among the founders of WEAA Radio, who taught me how to be an on-air journalist and has helped to lead Morgan to a more promising future. For both of you, I am eternally grateful. Morgan's history reveals an institution that has graduated over 50,000 students, awarded degrees from 97 programs, from the bachelor's to the doctoral level. Not only have we grown programmatically, our designation as a Carnegie classified doctoral research university and the state's designated public urban university has given Morgan its highest rankings, including nationally of the nearly 2,500 four-year universities among the top 100 producers of minority degrees. First among all HBCUs to date in the production of Fulbright scholars. I could go on and on and on. Students now come here from as far as Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Kuwait, and Kenya, and almost every state in the country, with 50 structures and almost 150 acres of land. Morgan continues to fulfill its purpose, to educate leaders, and with its growth of programs, designations, and land, demonstrate progress. And it stands on the promise that all who walk through these doors will leave prepared to lead. I cannot leave this platform without giving you a glimpse into my journey and days at Morgan. I couldn't wait to get here. My parents had lived up to their promise that I would get a high school diploma. I didn't know about scholarships and what I needed to do to apply. I had skipped from 6th to 8th grade, and when asked what I wanted to be, I would reply, successful. I'm not sure I knew then what that meant, but I did know that it meant more than a high school diploma. My cousin had come to visit and told me about Morgan. But I would always remember what my dad told me and all of my siblings. Anything you really want, you have to work for it. So I applied to Morgan, went to work. Work was nothing foreign to me. I had begun working at 14, not because I had to, because every promise my parents made us, they kept. My dad would say, I work every day so you can have what you need. My mother was a stay-at-home mom who taught us in a classroom setting at an early age to read and write. My dad, learning that the school was selling old desks, went down and bought school desks for each of us. And my mother would teach us like she was in a classroom, so much so that elementary school was especially boring, because she had already taught me everything that elementary school was teaching. So my dad, when it was time to buy school clothes, he gave each of us $100. And I will never forget, at the age of 14, looking at that $100 and saying to my dad, this is not enough. I won't even be able to get through the week. And he responded by saying, then you need a job. So I accepted that challenge, working in a department store as a stock girl. So after high school, with the dream of college, I went to work from 11 p.m. at night to 7 a.m. in the morning in a nursing home. And then I'd walk 2 miles home, take a bath, change clothes, and walk around the corner to Betts Laboratories, where I worked as a secretary to earn my first semester's tuition. My instincts told me if I just got here to Morgan, I would make it. I was never so excited. Students sitting on the lawn, green grass, conversations in the cafeteria, fraternities and sororities competing for pledges, and sports teams being cheered on by young ladies known as cheerleaders. I would become one. I worked the entire time I was here for the student government for April Ryan's mother. I would later hire April Ryan at WEBB Radio. April would become one of Morgan's most famous graduates, writing a bestseller as a White House correspondent. I was a cheerleader who challenged every teacher to live up to my expectations. Thank you, Dr. Clara Adams and Dr. Subramanian, for your special mentoring. Morgan became my place. It seeded my future. For those of you who have the privilege of being a student here, I challenge you to grab hold of every opportunity this campus provides. Ask questions. Become your best self. Everything you want and need for your future is here. Great faculty, nearly 400 full-time, and help and assistance at your every turn. If you reach, someone will reach for you. I guarantee it. I was active in social movements, believe it or not, Nixon was president, who seemed to dismantle the good that the federal government was established to do, followed by Carter. We marched and protested against the Vietnam War, an unjust system, and I came here with a thirst for knowledge. I left here wanting to bring the change I wanted to see. Equality for all people, and there are those that I describe the state of our country today very similar to the 70s, with the actions of the federal government and a president who seems currently out of touch with the common man, along with the problems our cities are facing today, reflective of the lack of equality and social justice that existed when I was here in college. Those of you here today have an obligation to help change the world, to be leaders. I left Morgan with 8 jobs because I was qualified. I left Morgan with a thirst for change and to be engaged in that change. I started my career as a banker, went on to be a business developer, helping minorities, more specifically African Americans, start their own businesses. I worked for a mayor, creating and directing a crime prevention program. I co-anchored news in the evening under the direction of Kwaisi Mfume. I became dean and director of a business college, assistant professor of business and economics here, and later taught in the School of Communications, vice president of Brunson Communications, running 9 radio stations and 2 television stations. I started my own public relations company, fundraised for political candidates that I thought worthy. I think you remember that, Kwaisi, because I was a fundraiser for you as you were running for Congress. And I own my own newspaper and am the only independent editor that the Baltimore Sun Papers has ever had. For so long, I have felt like a shepherd trying to find his sheep. But I can tell you, standing here today, I'm found. I found my purpose and passion, that God has placed me here, that is to lead this city, and am committed to bring about the progress that this city is in desperate need of. I am so committed because I believe that every neighborhood should have the same amenities. I believe in lifting the least while we lift all, and the promise that I will not rest until the change that all of us desire, a healthy, happy city where opportunity is available for all, and we are able together to address our social ills with real solutions. I am committed to achieve those objectives. And Mr. President, I would like to add passion and prepared, because what Morgan has done for me, it has done for many before me, and can and will for the many students here, and the ones who walk through our doors in the future. Individuals like former Chief Judge of the Maryland Court of Appeals, Robert Bell, Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell, and Congressman Kwaisi Mfume, American playwright David Talbert, performers like Lonnie Liston Smith, Denise Williams, Olympic gold medalist Rochelle Stevens, Kevin Frazier, host of Entertainment Tonight, former mayor of Philadelphia, Wilson Good, pro athletes Willie Lanier and Leroy Kelly, and publisher of Black Enterprise, Earl Graves, and that's just to name a few. I am prepared and passionate through the classes, the interaction, both educationally, socially, and professionally, and with the opportunities Morgan State University has afforded me to lead. I am prepared to lead our city, my city. I have dined with presidents and first ladies, led national organizations, been a leader in my city, state, and country, has spoken in countries around the world as far away as Dubai on the need to develop a more inclusive and diverse economy. Because of Morgan, I know our city, state, and country will and can change for the better. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Kwayisi. Thank you, former presidents. Thank you, faculty members. Thank you, alumni, for pushing Morgan State University, this historical Black institution, on its purpose, progress, and promise, and preparing our students to find their passion, their purpose. And to all of you, students especially, pay it forward, do it with pride, do it with passion. Thank you, Morgan State University. Happy 150th birthday, happy 150th anniversary, and God bless all of us. Thank you.
Just truly outstanding. Thank you, Mayor Pugh, for your motivating and encouraging remarks. And really thank you for being truly a fine example of the outstanding leaders that Morgan State University has produced. And so I'm going to ask you to stand forward for a special presentation, and I'm going to ask the members of the board who are present to also stand with you while I read the citation and present it to you. The citation reads, Morgan State University Presidential Citation, MSU Distinguished Achievement Award, presented to the Honorable Catherine E. Pugh, Mayor of the City of Baltimore. I, David Wilson, President of Morgan State University, congratulate you, Mayor Catherine E. Pugh, a distinguished 1973 alumna of Morgan State College, for your fruitful career as one of the city's and state's most prominent and distinguished political leaders. I commend you as 50th Mayor of the City of Baltimore, as a member of the Baltimore City Council from the 4th District for 6 years, as a member of the House of Delegates of Maryland General Assembly for 1 year, and as a member of the Senate of Maryland General Assembly for 10 years, during which time you served as Majority Leader of the Senate, for being one of the city's foremost advocates for development and improvement and one of its most devoted public servants. I applaud you for your outstanding career as journalist, educational leader, banker, business developer, television and radio personality, and political stateswoman. And I thank you for consistently being one of Morgan State University's greatest cheerleaders in government and in the community. Sesquicentennial Founders Day Convocation, November 27, 2017. Please join me as we present this to the Honorable Mayor.